All right, we started the program with a look at salaries and jobs. Now let's take a look at artificial intelligence and jobs. Now, automation was meant to bring progress, but many leaders now argue it's brought distance instead. And the greatest risk to business, some say, may not be disruption, but disconnection. What am I talking about? Well, where dashboards replace conversations and efficiency erodes empathy. It all sounds rather Orwellian, doesn't it? Well, our host tonight, Antonio Iozzo, who's founder and chief executive officer of Insure, argues that the next competitive advantage is not going to come from algorithms, but from emotional intelligence. He talks about presence and human connection in the workplace. So, Antonio, a very warm welcome. Good to meet you. You've argued that the biggest threat to business today is disconnection and not disruption. Before we talk about what that means, why is it important to you?
Well, I think it all started around about COVID, where a lot of businesses went home, and then a lot of businesses never came back to work and started working shifts. And I just started seeing that businesses were more and more disconnecting, automating their receptions, could only email people. You couldn't get hold of staff because they weren't in the office, and they wouldn't give out their cell phone numbers because their cell phone numbers were private. And I just started seeing this big disconnection between human interaction and people just distancing themselves and using technology as the buffer.
But technology, some would say, is progress, it's the march of time. Are you not fighting a losing battle here?
I definitely think progress is definitely with technology. We need it. I've adopted AI in our business and we're very much pro, but I don't think you should take away the human interaction. And I think, and I mean, I preach it with my staff, simple thing is that emails have taken the place of telephone calls. Teams meetings have taken the place of in-person meetings. And you can't really judge a room when you're having a Teams meeting. You can't see whether the people that you're talking to are engaged. And I just feel it's something that we need to bring back.
So that's a fair point. And you, in fact, refer to this as something called human thinning, which is a nice turn of phrase, which is happening inside organizations. If that's the case, and I certainly concur with you, what do you think the business consequences are if it's too driven by algorithms?
Well, I think most people on a daily basis get telephone calls from robots, which used to be humans phoning you to try and do sales, and now you get a robot. And I just think you're not going to get the penetration that you're looking for.
And the inclination is to disconnect, right? Yeah.
I think a lot of people just put down the phone immediately as they see that they're talking to a bot. So I just think there's a balance between using tech, using AI, but not allowing it to take over.
So how do you find the balance then? What in your business experience has led you to perhaps an optimum equilibrium between the two?
Well, firstly, I don't believe in the work from home concept. I don't think a new staff member
You're disappointing lots of people, you know that. But you got a point, you know.
So I don't think a new staff member can understand the culture of a business when you're working from home. I don't think you can collaborate.
So take off your pajamas and get to work, is what you're saying. Yeah, okay.
I don't think you can mentor. And I just think humans start losing that human connection. Where you could just walk past the person and ask a question. Now everyone just sends emails. And that's almost the excuse. You ask someone if they've done their job, they say, no, I've sent the email. But the chain hasn't actually been completed. The task hasn't been completed. So for me, there's a balance.
So you also talk about remote work gives you freedom, but it's created leaders, as you've just told me, who are everywhere digitally, but they're nowhere emotionally. How difficult do you think it is to recapture that emotional quotient? And once you've done that, are you going to start seeing an improvement in business practice? And that would obviously have a knock-on effect in terms of productivity and one hopes profitability.
So I think it's definitely industry dependent. I mean, the insurance industry is very service orientated. We sell nothing but a piece of paper and a promise. And at the end of the day, it comes down to how you service your client when something goes wrong. And for me, the human interaction, going out, seeing our brokers, interacting with our clients, understanding their needs, listening. If they've got a problem, they can speak to somebody that
Get under the hood.
And I just think a lot of managers in a lot of corporates are not empowered to make decisions. And it's easy to blame the exco up the line and to say, we'd love to help you, but I don't make the decision.
This is obviously a philosophy which is very important to you, and you're inculcating it into your business. But you would deal with pushback. You would deal with a little bit of resistance, given that the whole work from home thing has changed the philosophy of many people. How do you sell that concept to staff?
Well, I think the work from home culture is actually changing back. If you have a look at the States, I think one of the first industries that went home was the tech industry. And a lot of them thought that it would be easy to manage their staff. They understand keystrokes, they can measure their keystrokes, their programming, and they were one of the very first industries to come back to work. So I think once staff understand what you get out of being back at the office, I think they really can buy into why they need to be there.
So let's assume then that they have bought into that. What is the first emotional metric then, Antonio, in your opinion, that a leader should track? And what does that reveal, potentially, that a dashboard doesn't?
So a dashboard can tell you a lot about statistics, but it can't really reveal the emotion of the person that put it together. You can't use your EQ to decipher whether the person that's feeding you the information, you can get a lot from a person. Their body language, how they're talking.
It's looking into the whites of their eyes.
Most
and
definitely.
You can read so much into that, can't you?
And I think it's just lost, especially in boardroom meetings where a lot of important meetings are held over Teams. I just think you just lose so much.
So you also write that, and I quote, attention is the scariest resource, which I think does resonate powerfully. So lots of people are distracted at the moment. It's about pulling them back into the center and explaining to them that they've got to start engaging again. That's a difficult management exercise to undertake.
It is difficult, and it takes continuous management. And I think one of my key things that I try and drive into my managers and get them to drive it down the line is that an email, for me, is confirmation of your telephone call that you had with the client.
That's it.
Don't let the email replace the human interaction. And that's a small start, but you've got to start somewhere. Going out to meetings, engaging with clients, trying to get clients not to have Teams meetings, we'll come to them. I mean, a small thing is that businesses in the old days used to give out client gifts. Christmas time, you used to give out, especially in the insurance industry.
I used to get very excited when my father came home in December with that bag of goodies.
Yeah. And I mean, nowadays, there's no such thing as a gift.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've just gone back to the old school. We visit our brokers, we bring gifts, we interact, we have golf days, we have functions, we have events, we have women's days. So we really try and bring the human interaction.
As my father used to say, it's about wearing down the shoe leather, which is a good point. Okay, final question to you. What is one leadership quality then that's going to matter most in this AI-enabled workplace? Because we said at the beginning of our conversation, you can't escape the technology and the AI. It's there, and it's playing a vitally important role. But what's the one leadership quality that's going to drive this process forward and succeed in the way in which your company is doing so?
I would say understanding how to use tech and AI to make you more efficient, but not to take away your human interaction. And I think it boils down to that. You have to use AI. You have to integrate it into your work day, into everything that you do. But at the end of the day, don't allow it to take over you, that you distance yourself from your clients, from your business, from everything.
Antonio Iozzo, thank you very much for hosting us today and a fascinating conversation. I appreciate your time.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it, Jeremy.
Hot 102.7.
Playing Joburg's best old school and R&B.